Well, hello once again, all my classic dirt bike enthusiasts, and once more, thanks immensely for your continuing support of my classic dirt bike TV channel. Now, in this next video, we're going to revisit the racing highlights from the 2018 Kendal Classic Revival Scramble that was held at the Westmoreland County Showground on the 12th of August in that year. Now, most of the racing will be featured in 3 separate videos on my YouTube channel, and so without any further delay, let's jump straight into race 1, which of course is the CCM race. Now, although this particular race is for those legendary CCM machines, we also have a couple of riders on a pair of 4-stroke JBR Hondas as well. So it looks like we're all good to go as the riders line up for this race 1. And so as the riders leave the line, it's a good start by number 9. That's Lewis Bell from Scotland, and on the outside there, number 44 is Jonathan Bethel, one of the sons of the late and great John Bethel, who was a massive fan of these big Alan Clues machines. Number 7 there is Tony Barrow, riding his late father Norman's works at CCM bike. Now, this is a proper CCM bike from the early 1970s, and Tony enjoys riding his late father's bike at these big classic race events. Number 176 there, that's Colin Lee on one of the JBR Honda 4-stroke machines. And as you can see, the weather here at the Westmoreland County Showground is absolutely perfect for this kind of vintage racing. So there is your race leader, number 9. It's Lewis Bell from Scotland. Lewis, of course, rides many different types of machines at these classic events, but riding one of his CCMs in this particular race. Number 44 there is Jonathan Bethel, riding of course with the number 44 on his bike, which of course was his late father's race number when he rode these big 4-stroke Alan Clues machines. But the track layout here at the Westmoreland County Showground is absolutely fantastic, and all the club members have got to take a round of applause for putting on this fantastic race event. Number 7 again, there is Tony Barrow, riding his dad's Norman Barrow's superb Clues machine. So here is your race leader once again. It's still number 9, Lewis Bell, but looks like Lewis has some kind of mechanical issue with his CCM, so hopefully it won't be too serious and Lewis can make it across the finish line. Second position there is number 44, it's still Jonathan Bethel. Third position is Tony Barrow, number 7, on that legendary Norman Barrow machine. But as you can see, a lovely track layout here at the Westmoreland County Showground, but it looks like Lewis Bell is heading for a DNF. Something terminal has happened to his particular CCM, so there is your new race leader. It's number 44, Jonathan Bethel. It looks like Lewis Bell is heading for a retirement. Second now is number 7 there, that's Tony Barrow once again. This was the legendary bike, of course, that Tony's father Norman rode in many a British Championship and Grand Prix event, and this is a very famous bike indeed, and it's great to see that Tony is keeping his father's memory alive by riding this bike out on the track rather than it being parked up somewhere in a museum. So here is your first place position rider. It's number 44, Jonathan Bethel. Most of the bikes, of course, in this race are all CCM bikes, apart from a couple of JBR Hondas who have been put in to race with the CCMs, but it looks like Jonathan is looking good for a possible win in this first race of the afternoon. But don't forget, we will be bringing you almost every single race from the 2018 Kendal Classic Revival Scramble over the course of 3 videos here on my YouTube channel, so please check out the other videos once I post them. Number 7 again is Tony Barrow riding his father Norman Barrow's 1976 CCM. Now this was the bike that Norman Barrow actually broke in half at the headstock at the 1976 British Grand Prix, and if you were at that particular event, then you may remember that particular instance. But it's good to see Tony riding his father's machine. So your current race leader is still at number 44, Jonathan Bethel. This is another very quick bike, this particular CCM, but it's great to see these Alan Clues derived British made machines still taking to the track and being very competitive. So as Jonathan Bethel comes round to start his last and final lap of this first race here at the Kendal 2018 Revival Scramble, and Jonathan is looking fairly comfortable for a race win as he begins his last and final lap. Second position again is still Tony Barrow, and I'm sure it's not every day that a rider gets to sling his leg over one of these fantastic Alan Clues factory CCM bikes, but looks like Tony is going to bring his dad's bike home to that runner-up position. So here is your race leader as he heads towards the checkered flag. It's number 44, Jonathan Bethel. Of course, Jonathan took the lead in this race due to a mechanical issue with Lewis Bell's CCM, but unfortunately that's racing, and Jonathan is making the most of that mechanical issue with Lewis Bell's bike. So as he heads towards the checkered flag, it's going to be a good finish and the first win of the afternoon for number 44, Jonathan Bethel. Second, of course, is going to be number 7, Tony Barrow. Another good finish for Tony on this 1976 Works CCM bike. Okay, that brings us quite nicely to race 2. This is the pre-unit twin, and the pre-60 and pre-68 over 350cc. And as they leave the line, it's a good start by Liston Bell, number 98. I think Liston is riding his big 500 Jawa in this race. Number 76 there is John Cash in second place. Third, of course, is number 9, Lewis Bell, whose CCM unfortunately let him down badly in that race 1. Number 146 going through there is Simon Chell, as the rest of the chasing pack make their way to begin lap 1. So it's still Liston Bell, your race leader. Second, Lewis Bell. Third, looks like number 76, I think that's John Cash. Number 921 is Luke Jackson. But your race leader is still number 98, Liston Bell, on that very quick, what looks like a Rickman Jawa, a big single cylinder 500 long stroking bike, almost a speedway bike when you see it. Number 9 is Lewis Bell in second. Number 76 is John Cash in third. Number 518 is again Phil Roberts. Number 921 is, as far as I'm led to believe, is Luke Jackson. Number 89 there is Mike Bell, but it's still Liston Bell, your race leader, from his younger brother, Lewis Bell, number 9, also riding one of those big 500cc Jawa singles. Although this time round it looks like it's a turn of Liston to have a mechanical issue with his bike, and it looks like Liston's parked track side. But here is your new race leader. It's Lewis Bell, number 9, and as you can see, Liston pushing his big Jawa back to the paddock to try and find out what the problem is. Number 89 there, that's Mike Bell, who is the father of both Liston and Lewis. So here is your new race leader, number 9, Lewis Bell. Hopefully Lewis's bike won't let him down in this particular race, but he's looking good as he slides speedway style around this Westmoreland County Showground track. So there is your race leader, number 9, Lewis Bell. Second, it looks like it's Luke Jackson. Third position is number 581, that's Phil Roberts, as the rest of the chasing pack make their way through. So there is your race leader as he begins another racing lap. It's number 9, Lewis Bell from Scotland, looking very good on this big 500cc Jawa single. Big, powerful, long stroking engines, these big 500 Jawas. I don't know if this particular bike of Lewis is running on methanol, but some of these big 500 singles do run on methanol. Number 921 there in second position is Luke Jackson. As we look at number 9, our race leader, Lewis Bell, on that what I think is a Wig Jawa. A very fast bike this. I've seen this particular bike racing in Scotland many times, and both Liston and Lewis, when they're racing these big bikes, do have some fantastic battles on the racetrack. Number 921 is your second place rider, Luke Jackson. I'm not particularly sure what Luke's riding, but I think it's an old BSA. You see the rest of the chasing pack coming through. Number 43 there is Andy Cam, riding that big BSA Gold Star. And that particular bike at number 43 there, Andy Cam is riding, is a Jerry Scott replica BSA Gold Star with that beautiful Shenny based frame. And number 693 there is John Pickering, and John is just ahead of number 146, that's Simon Chell. It looks like John Pickering is riding an old Rickman. Number 43 going through there again is Andy Cam on that very heavy BSA Gold Star. But I have to say, it's great to see these old BSA bikes still racing on the track and still being quite competitive. So there is your race leader. It's number 9, Lewis Bell, on the 500 Jawa machine. It looks like we've got a rider with a problem there, parked track side. So Lewis looks like he's quite comfortable for a win in this particular race. He's got a good lead, as you can see, on the rest of the chasing pack. And naturally, Lewis will be hoping he doesn't have any further mechanical issues as he did with his CCM bike in race 1. Now this track, of course, at the Westmoreland County Showground is just yards from the M6 motorway. You can just about see the traffic going up and down the dual carriageway there, but access to this track is absolutely superb as you just turn off the M6 motorway, and within minutes you arrive at this fantastic racetrack. Okay, number 518 there coming towards us is Phil Roberts. Looks like Phil's riding one of those old Czechoslovakian CZ machines. Number 43 is Andy Cam once again, riding that big heavy BSA Gold Star Jerry Scott replica. But these guys are just crossed the line to start their last and final lap. So it looks like it could be a win for number 9 here, Lewis Bell, on his 500 Jawa, as he takes the last few corners before the checkered flag. This 2018 Kendal Classic Revival Scramble event here at the Westmoreland County Showground was my first ever visit to this fantastic race venue, and I must admit I did enjoy the entire weekend. So it looks like number 9 Lewis Bell is heading towards his first win of the afternoon, despite his DNF in race 1 on the CCM. It looks like Lewis is going to bring his Jawa across the finish line in first position. Number 76 is John Cash, who is going to bring his BSA home to that runner-up position. So that was the highlights for race 2. And so, as you can see, a decent collection of spectators here for this 2018 Westmoreland County Showground Revival Scramble. Okay, next up, this is the pre-1975 class over 250cc. Some very quick riders in this particular race, and it looks like they are all under starters orders. The 15-second board is already up, and we're just about good to go. 5 seconds, and as they leave the line, it's a good start by Chris Chell, number 264 on that BSA as he goes into turn 1. Jonathan Bethel's made a good start, but looks like Chris Chell has had a collision with Greg Speed, number 99, on his BSA. And it looks like Chris is okay. He's just trying to get his BSA fired up again, but doesn't look like it's wanting to restart. So we are just looking to pick up our race leader, which looks like it's number 285. That's Chris Winder on that lovely little Honda Elsinore. An extremely light and nimble little bike, this bike of Chris's, and of course Chris races this bike in the British Championship pre-1975 class. Number 490 there is John Littler on the CZ machine. Number 44 coming through there is Ben Butterworth. Number 43 is Andy Malloch from Scotland on his particular CZ machine. And this is just one of 3 machines that Andy Malloch races. He races the CZ, a lovely Montesa, and of course his 500cc Armstrong. So here is your race leader once again. It's still number 285. It's Chris Winder on the Honda 250 Elsinore. As you can see, Chris has already got a decent lead on second place man here, which of course is Lewis Bell on his 500 Jawa machine. Remember, Lewis was doing well in that first CCM race, but unfortunately his bike let him down. Number 44 there in third position is Jonathan Bethel. Number 87 is William Guest. And don't forget, this is part 1 of 3 videos featuring the racing highlights from this 2018 Kendal Classic Revival Scramble here at the Westmoreland County Showground. Now there is your race leader once again, 285, Chris Winder. Looks like Chris is heading towards his first race win of the day on this superbly turned out little 250 Honda. And number 44 once again, that's Ben Butterworth. Now, although this is a scrambles machine, I've actually seen Ben taking part in a hill climb on this particular bike, and he did very well at it. So is now using the same bike for this Scrambles event. So a multi-purpose machine, this number 44 bike of Ben Butterworth's. Now we're looking at number 264, that's Chris Chell, who unfortunately had that coming together with another rider in turn 2 on the first lap of this race, but it looks like Chris is up and running again on that lovely Shenny BSA. Number 14 going through is Brian Hamilton, but here is your race leader. It's number 285, Chris Winder. And Chris is just about to cross the finish line to start his last and final lap of this first pre-1975 over 250 class race. So we're just going to pick up some of the riders that are further down the park. We just saw Jonathan Bethel going through. Number 490 there, that's John Littler. Number 10 is John Fleming. And number 87 coming towards us now is William Guest on the CZ machine. And it looks like Williams had a good race on his little CZ. Number 45 there, that's Carol Kavanagh on that beautiful little Husqvarna. Very popular bikes with the classic and vintage racers at these events. And so as our race leader heads towards the checkered flag, it looks like it's going to be the first win of the day for Chris Winder, number 285, on the little Honda Elsinore. Looks like Chris is relaxing a bit and taking it easy towards the checkered flag, but this is a very quick little bike, this bike of Chris's, and extremely fast round these tight and twisty turns off the Westmoreland County Showground. Second place is going to go to number 9, that's Liston Bell. Third is not Brian Hamilton. This man here is the third place man, number 44, Jonathan Bethel. And of course Jonathan is going across the line in third position on that big 500 CCM. Okay, that brings us nicely to race 4. This is the pre-1978 Unlimited class. And as you can see, the weather is beginning to improve ever so slightly here at the Westmoreland County Showground. And it looks like the riders are all lined up and ready to go. Some very quick riders in this class. Look out once again for Tony Barrow, number 7, riding his Father Norman's Works CCM bike. So the 15-second board is up, 5 seconds to go, and they have left the line. It looks like a good start by Tony Barrow on the CCM, number 7, as they all head into turn 1. Quite a tricky first 2 or 3 corners on this track, but it's certainly Tony Barrow on the Works CCM who has the early lead in this pre-1978 Unlimited class race. And so we're just waiting to pick up our race leader, and it looks like it's still number 7, Tony Barrow on the CCM. Tony riding very well this afternoon. Second position looks like it's Chris Woodward, and the third place man is Simon Chamberlain in third on that KX Kawasaki. But it's still number 7, Tony Barrow, riding that 1976 CCM. This bike of course belonged to Tony's father Norman, who was an absolute legend when he rode for CCM back in the day. Second position is still Chris Woodward, and Simon Chamberlain is still in third position on that KX Kawasaki. So we're just looking at the rest of the chasing pack as they make their way through on lap 1. Number 171 there is Paul Leyland. But your race leader is still number 7, Tony Barrow. Of course, these CCM bikes are ex-BSA engines that the famous Alan Clues took over and took a standard B50 BSA engine and turned it into a open class motocross 4-stroke winner. And some great riders rode these CCMs back in the day. Number 86 there is Rod Spry, that's the famous classic bike builder. Number 8 there is Lee Davis, and number 11 is of course James Place. But it's still number 7, Tony Barrow, your race leader. Second should still be number 62, that's Chris Woodward riding a CR250 Honda Elsinore. Third position is now Rod Spry, number 86 on the Bultaco. Also coming through number 8, looks like it's Lee Davis on what looks like an old Hagen Yamaha. Number 150 is Stephen Atkin, and number 153 is Andrew Savage. It looks like number 77, Peter Bost, is cruising to a standstill on his little Suzuki as he attempts to park it trackside, so he must have some kind of mechanical issue with his little Suzuki. Rod Spry looks like he's having difficulties again with his Bultaco machine. But here is your race leader, Tony Barrow, on this 1976 500 at CCM. And we're looking at number 62, that's Chris Woodward, also riding one of these CR250 Honda Elsinore machines. These bikes of course made famous by the Elsinore Grand Prix in the United States. And so here is your race leader, is still circulating at a good rate of knots. It's number 7, Tony Barrow on the CCM. And I did mention earlier on in this video that this was the bike that Norman Barrow famously broke in two when he snapped the front end of the bike off at the headstock at the Donington British Grand Prix in 1976. But Tony is absolutely riding the wheels of his father's machine, and if you're of a certain age you may have seen Norman Barrow riding this particular bike back in the day. Unfortunately I was not privy to that spectacle myself, but I'm sure many of my YouTube viewers will have seen Norman racing this bike at these big British Grand Prix events. So Tony still has a decent lead over our second placed rider, and Tony is coming round to cross the finish line to start his last and final lap of this pre-1978 unlimited race. Now we're just looking to pick up the battle for second position between number 8, that's Lee Davis there on the Yamaha, and in third place it's Chris Woodward who is riding the Honda Elsinore. But Lee Davis is looking good on what looks to me like it's an old Hagen Yamaha with those aluminium box frame, but of course I have been wrong in the past. But Lee has ridden very well on this Yamaha, so hopefully he can secure that second position from this man here, number 62, that's Chris Woodward. But of course Tony Barrow fully deserves the win in this race, as he's led from turn 1 and is ridden this bike superbly throughout this race, so he fully deserves the win as he heads towards the checkered flag. So as we just look at Tony as he comes towards us to take his first win of the day. So it's a win for number 7, Tony Barrow, on the 1976 Norman Barrow CCM. Now that of course is the famous Eric Kitchen, the legendary photographer of all trials and motocross racing events, a well respected photographer. Okay, next up we have the combined Pre-68 Unlimited, Pre-68 up to 350cc and the Pre-75s up to 250s. So a very good mix of smaller bikes and big 500 single cylinder machines in this featured race. So we're just waiting on our official starter, getting all the bikes ready to leave the line. We're just waiting on that 15-second board going up, which is now, which will soon turn to 5 seconds. And as they leave the line, it's another good start by Chris Winder on that CR250 Honda Elsinore. In second position is also another Elsinore, that's being ridden by Chris Story. So as they come into the first 2 or 3 turns, it's Chris Winder, your race leader. Chris Story is in second place. Liston Bell is in third. Ian Robertson going through there, number 100. And it appears that all of the riders are safely round the first 2 or 3 turns. Now remember, there are 3 different classes combined in this particular race. Of course, naturally, they will all be scored individually as they cross the finish line. But there is your race leader. It's 285 Chris Winder. Second is Chris Story. Third is Liston Bell. Fourth is Luke Jackson. As we look at some of the other riders coming through, number 100 there is Ian Robertson on that very quick little 360 at Yamaha. Now we're looking at our race leader. It's number 285 Chris Winder on that very light and nimble and blindingly quick little 250 Elsinore. Now remember, we have a combination of these smaller 250 machines alongside the bigger big bore 500 and 350cc singles. Steve Dent just going through there on that Faber BSA. And as you can see, the weather here at the Westmoreland County Showground is still absolutely perfect for this kind of Twinshock and classic vintage racing. So here is your race leader, still circulating at a good rate of knots, and already has opened up a decent lead on the rest of the chasing pack. It's number 285 Chris Winder. Now looking a little further down the field, we are looking at the second place rider. That looks like it's Luke Jackson on the big BSA. And number 585 following Luke is Steve Dent. Steve Dent is riding a 350 Faber BSA, the BSA engine with the Faber frame. Now Steve, of course, was one of the anchor men and put a lot of hard work in to put on this revival scramble here at the Westmoreland County Showground. Now number 921 there is Luke Jackson. Looks like Steve Dent is trying to line up a move on Luke Jackson's BSA. And we're just waiting to pick up the rest of the chasing pack. Number 117 coming towards us, that's Peter Johnson, riding a Triumph Twin, I think. That's Chris Story going through there. He was in second place. And Luke Jackson going through. Steve Dent again, number 585. So it looks like it's still Chris Winder in first position. Second looks like Chris Story third is Luke Jackson's, and number 585 here is Steve Dent. But it still looks like it's Chris Winder out here on his own on that 250 Honda Elsinore, and Chris has almost led this particular race from the start gate. It doesn't look like anybody is going to catch this flying little 250. We're looking at the third place man now. It's Luke Jackson once again, with Steve Dent still trying his damnedest to move up a position and steal that position from Luke Jackson. So here is your race leader, Chris Winder. Chris, of course, rides this very quick Elsinore 250 in the British Championships in the pre-1975 class, and through the years has been very successful riding this very light and nimble little machine. And so as Chris makes his way around to cross the finish line to begin his last and final lap, looks like he's got this race well and truly in the bag. And Chris's riding style and this nimble little 250 is absolutely well suited to the tight twisty turns of this Westmoreland County Showground racetrack. So as a race leader heads towards the checkered flag, it's number 285 Chris Winder, who doesn't look like he's going to put a foot wrong in this race, and as he heads towards the closing stages, it's been a fantastic ride by Chris on this Honda. And of course you will be able to see almost every race from this 2018 Westmoreland Revival Scramble, so if you just tune in to my YouTube channel to see the remaining parts 2 and 3. So as he heads towards the checkered flag, it's been another fantastic ride by Chris Winder on this Elsinore 250 Honda as he heads towards the finish line to take his second win of the day. And it looks like Chris Story is going to take that second position as we look at the remainder of the front runners as they head towards the checkered flag. And it looks like Luke Jackson is going to take that third position. Steve Dent is going to cross the line in fourth on his BSA, while Ian Robertson will bring his little Yamaha home in fifth. Okay, next up we are going to move straight on to the Clubman Class. Now, of course, this is the class that's been made up for riders who really want to just try their hand at vintage motocross, and other riders, of course, are just out for a day on their off-road machine. So there's some decent riders in this Clubman class. So we're just waiting for the riders to leave the line. And Joe McCrink there has made a good start on his CZ number 39. That's Dave Goldie, who took the early lead. Number 91 is Phil Speed, who is in second position. A very apt name for a vintage motocross racer. Number 56 there is John McCrink. 72 is Clifford Hardesty. And it looks like number 91, Phil Speed, has got some issues with his old BSA. So we're just looking at the rest of the pack as they make their way round to start at lap 1. So we're just waiting to pick up our race leader. It's still number 39, Dave Goldie. Second is Carl Kavanagh. Third is number 78, Clifford Hardesty. Number 8 is Tony Carr. Number 66 is Alan Reed. And number 111 is David Alderson. David looks to be riding one of those little Yamaha 250 enduro machines, and you don't see many of these old Yamahas taking part in these vintage scrambles events these days. So here is your race leader again. It's still number 39, Dave Goldie, who is riding superbly in this Clubman Class. Second is Carol Kavanagh on that DT 125 Yamaha. Third is this man here, number 78, that's Clifford Hardesty. Now Clifford appears to be riding what I think is an older 350 BSA machine, and Clifford does a lot of racing in my home country of Scotland, and I've seen Clifford racing this bike on many occasions, and most of the time Cliff does really well on this bike. Number 143, that's Stevie Shaw on the Twin Port CZ. But here is your race leader. It's still number 39, Dave Goldie. Second is Carol Kavanagh on the little road-based DT125 Yamaha bike. But this machine of Dave Goldie's, it looks like he's riding some kind of twin-cylinder Triumph machine. Number 45 there is Carol Kavanagh, although it has 33 on his shirt. His racing number is 45. Now we're looking at the battle for first position between number 39 Dave Goldie and number 45 Carol Kavanagh. Now you have to remember that Dave Goldie is riding a bike that's at least 500cc, and this little machine of Carol Kavanagh is just a little 125 two-stroke machine, which looks like Carol has just ridden to this event off the road and put numbers on it and taken part in this event. But Carol's doing a fantastic job keeping up with this big twin cylinder machine of Dave Goldie's. And so as our race leaders come round to complete yet another lap, it's still Dave Goldie, number 39, who is keeping Carol Kavanagh at bay. Dave Goldie riding that big twin cylinder machine, and Carol Kavanagh here on the little 125, and doing an absolutely superb job of keeping up with Dave Goldie. So as they cross the line to complete another lap, this could be a nice battle to the checkered flag. But your race leader is still number 39, Dave Goldie, and second position is number 45, Carol Kavanagh. And you can only imagine the sound of this little 125 machine of Carol Kavanagh trying to keep up with that big twin cylinder bike of Dave Goldie's. Carol must be absolutely screaming the head of this little two-stroke machine to get onto terms with the flying Dave Goldie. Although I do believe that Carol certainly has the skill to pass Dave Goldie, but unfortunately he's slightly lacking in horsepower to try and make a move on Dave Goldie's big twin cylinder machine. But nevertheless, Carol is still in there, and hoping maybe that Dave Goldie has some kind of mechanical issue whereby he can then make the pass. But a good race developing between these two riders on two absolutely different racing machines. So as they approach the finish line to start their last and final lap of this first Clubman race of the afternoon, it's still number 39, Dave Goldie, your race leader, from number 45, Carol Kavanagh. Dave Goldie's been riding superbly right from the start line, and took an early lead in this race, and hopefully he will keep it together to take the win. But Carol Kavanagh is still circulating only yards behind, and hopefully he will manage to take his little Yamaha across the line in second position. So it looks like it's going to be a very good win for Dave Goldie on that twin cylinder machine. Now I'm not exactly sure if it's a Triumph or a BSA, but certainly a twin cylinder bike. So it's a win for number 39 Dave Goldie in this Clubman class, with a second position going to Carol Kavanagh. Okay, next up it's time for the big boys to come out to play, and this is the first heat of the Twinshock class. Now there are some fantastically quick riders in this Twinshock class, so look out for riders the likes of Mark Fulton, Joel Hughes. We also have Chris Cannon in there, John Littler, and loads of other quick riders. So look out for some fantastic racing in this first heat of the Twinshock class. So we're just waiting on our official starter, getting the OK from the clerk of the course to begin this first Twinshock race. So looks like we're all good to go. All the bikes are running and every rider looks like they're good to go. So the 15-second board is up 5 seconds, and they leave the line in a hail of mud and smoke, but it's Mark Fulton who has taken the early lead into turn 1. So as they all make their way around the first turn, it looks like we have a faller there. That's number 18, that's Jim Colligan on the 490 Michael, who's taken a little spill as the rest of the riders make their way around to begin lap 1. So we're just waiting to pick up our race leader, which is still number 48, that's Mark Fulton. Second is number 18, that's Michael Smith. Third is number 43, that's Ryan Ireland. Number 33 is Peter Williamson going through. But a very good field of very quick riders in this first heat of the Twinshock class. So as we pick up our race leader, it's still number 48, Mark Fulton, the ex-Works Kawasaki rider who is riding this Brian Wood owned 500 Honda. And this bike of course was built by Stuart Bland. It's a very, very quick machine, and in the capable hands of Mark Fulton, there's not a lot of bikes that are going to catch this machine on this particular track. Second position is still number 18, Michael Smith. Third is number 43, that's Ryan Ireland. But it's this man here, number 48, Mark Fulton, who is already beginning to open up a gap on the chasing pack of Michael Smith and Ryan Ireland. But Mark Fulton here is an absolute legend in motocross circles in the UK, and Mark's career of course has been wide and varied, and has been riding motocross bikes since he was 11 or 12 year old, so a vastly experienced rider. And as you can see, he looks totally at home on this Brian Wood Stuart Bland built Honda 500 machine. And over the course of the weekend, Mark set up some very quick lap times on this big 500cc Honda. Not an easy thing to do with these big open class machines on these tight, twisty racetracks. These big bore open class race machines are more suited to the wide open spaces, but nevertheless you can see that Mark is totally at ease on this very quick machine. Mark already has a decent lead over this man here, number 18, Michael Smith, on the big 490 Michael. Michael also riding superbly in that second position. It looks like Michael doesn't have any challengers for that second position, but Michael looks like he's going to have to up his game a bit if he wants to catch Mark Fulton, who is the race leader. In third position, it's still number 43. It's Ryan Island. Ryan looks like he's riding a 480 Honda, one of those red rocket machines, and looks like he's very quick on that Japanese bike. So as all these riders begin their last and final lap, here is your race leader, number 48, Mark Fulton, as Mark begins to pass some of the slower riders on the track. Mark, of course, shot straight from the gate at the start of this Twinshock race, and has never really been challenged the entire race, but it looks like Mark's going to cruise to his first win of the day. Now, as I mentioned, this bike was built by Stuart Bland. Now, Stuart is also connected with the British Superbike road racing teams, and Stuart is no stranger to building these very quick rocket propelled two-stroke motocross machines. Stuart also races from time to time on one of these big 500 Hondas, but here is your race leader as he heads towards the checkered flag. So it's the first win of the day for number 48, Mark Fulton. And we're currently looking at number 19. That's Gordon Forbes from Helensburgh in Argyll in Scotland. Gordon riding a 490 Michael machine. Now just coming towards us is number 29. That's Gary Wolstenholme, and number 19 is Chris Kirkbride, which looks like he's riding a little 250 water-cooled Yamaha machine. But it certainly looks like it's going to be a good battle to the finish line between number 19 Chris Kirkbride on the little Yamaha and Gary Wolstenholme on the Honda. And so as they come towards us, it looks like Chris has the advantage with the Yamaha as they go into the turn, but Gary's sticking his bike down the inside. Oh dear. So it looks like Chris has taken a little spill, but he still looks absolutely fine. Okay, the last and final race for this part 1 video from the Revival Scramble 2018. This is the Twinshock class, and this is Heat 2, and as you can see, a fantastic lineup of bikes for this particular race. So as they leave the line and head into the turn, it's a good start by Chris Cannon on that 400 RM Suzuki bike, but it looks like it's number 145. That's Joel Hughes on that big 4-stroke Husqvarna machine with an absolutely jam-packed lineup of riders for this particular heat in the Twinshock class. So as we look towards our race leader, it looks like it's still number 145, Joel Hughes, your race leader. Second looks like it's Alan Bott on the 490 Michael machine, as the rest of the chasing pack twist and turn in this first lap of Heat 2 for the Twinshock class. So here is your race leader, number 145, Joel Hughes on the big 4-stroke Husqvarna machine, twin port of course on the cylinder head, but a single cylinder machine, and a very quick and powerful big bruiser of a bike, this Twinshock Husqvarna. Now, it's not too often that you see one of those big 510 Husqvarna twin porters racing at these classic scrambles these days. Most riders tend to think that these bikes are just a bit on the heavy side for your average twin shock racer, but as you can see, Joel Hughes is certainly making use of that raw power from that Husqvarna machine. I'll just pick up a few of the riders as they make their way around. Number 293 is Kevin Hall, and number 150 there is Stephen Atkin on the little Suzuki machine. But your race leader is still at number 145. It's Joel Hughes on the Husqvarna 4-stroke machine. Now, I know that the standard version of these twin port Husqvarna machines are normally just over the 500cc mark, but I wouldn't mind guessing that there's been some re-engineering of that big 4-stroke Husqvarna engine, and this bike could quite easily be at 550 or even 560 cc's, but is very quick. So second place at the moment is number 93 here, that's Nigel Sowerby. Number 81 is Chris Cannon in third place. Number 156, that looks like it's David Bateman. John Littler just going through there. And just coming towards us, number 176, that's Colin Lee riding that JBR 4-stroke Honda machine. So we pick up our race leader once again, who has a substantial lead over the rest of the chasing pack. It's number 145. That's Joel Hughes on the 4-stroke Husqvarna. I must admit, it's great to see these big 4-stroke Huskies riding at the front of the pack, and as I mentioned, you don't see a lot of riders using these big 4-stroke Husqvarnas due to them thinking they're big and clumsy machines, but that's certainly not the case for Joel Hughes. Number 81 there, that's Chris Cannon. Chris is riding what looks like an RM400 Suzuki. Number 93, Nigel Sowerby on the 490 Michael, one of the many Sowerby family who ride machines at these events. Number 438, that's of course Brian Littler. Brian also riding a Michael. Number 92 is Shane Sowerby, another one of the racing Sowerby family. And so as we look towards our race leader once more, as he heads towards the checkered flag on his last and final lap, it's going to be a win for Joel Hughes on the big 4-stroke Husqvarna. Now don't forget to tune in to parts 2 and 3 of this event, and I will be posting them on my YouTube channel very soon. So I do hope you've enjoyed this part 1 video from the 2018 Kendal Classic Revival Scramble. So please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see more of this fantastic racing. So it's a win for Joel Hughes in this Twinshock Heat 2 race on his 4-stroke Husqvarna. Second position is going to go to this man here, number 81, Chris Cannon on the RM400 Suzuki. And the final podium spot is going to go to number 93. That's Nigel Sowerby. So once again, thanks for watching, and do look out for parts 2 and 3.